Cheers, Andrew.
Cheers.
I picked this up at Bud's around the corner. Is that the place to get coffee around here?
Bud's is one of a couple places to get coffee around here. There's a little drive-through place there's like a grocery store parking lot that has a drive-through. I prefer Bud's because they have good cheesecake and salads, and they have like signs on the walls that are like, like I don't swim in your bathroom, so don't pee in my pool, and that kind of thing.
I did see like a bait sign too.
Yeah, it's great. Bud's is kind of like, it's a local hang. It's a good
I
spot.
love it. It was my first time.
I like Bud's.
So with a quick Google search, people can see that you've won 2 Grammys with your former band Fun. Your songs Some Nights and Carry On and We Are Young are still played on the radio. And the YouTube views total over 1 billion. I don't know if you know that, but
I didn't know that.
I stopped counting after I was totaling them up. Over 1 billion.
Wow, okay.
And I'm just so excited to talk to you about how your career just continues to blossom and grow and evolve. And I can't wait to hear about what you're doing here at world-renowned Interlochen Center for the Arts. So what is your role here?
I teach recording and arranging, and I teach, there's a singer-songwriter program here, which is really special because Interlochen has such a rich history of the arts, classical music, dance, visual art, film, theater, and now there's this kind of contemporary music program with singer-songwriting, recording, arranging, producing, engineering. Like there's this the modern music world is here now too, and it's really, really exciting. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that you grew up very close to here in Frankfort. Both of your parents were teachers.
They were, 3rd grade.
So is this kind of I would imagine this is a very special moment and a hallmark moment in your career to come back here.
It really is. We can talk teaching. I can connect with my parents on a new level that, I've always had a lot of respect for them and for all the teachers that I admired growing up, but now to kind of have joined their ranks in a way it's really special.
So what is I've always been curious, what is your songwriting process?
It really varies. It depends on if I'm doing it alone or collaboratively. And so to try to teach those different ends of the spectrum to the kids is really fun. But usually I'll start with playing music, get something I like, and then the melodies kind of erupt out of that a little bit. And then usually the melodies take kind of shapes. Like I'll mumble stuff until I'm like, oh, that word sounds like train. I think I want to say train. And then I'll build that, and it just kind of the picture gradually crystallizes, I guess.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Where did you learn this from? Who taught you?
I don't know.
Songwriting or even the piano?
I had to kind of figure my own process out. And, through working with people, you see how they work. And I had a couple piano lessons as a kid, which taught me some foundations. But a lot of trial and error, really, on piano and as a songwriter. And so it's nice to kind of share some things I've learned and realize that there is a study of this stuff. You can learn songwriting, and you can learn rhyme schemes and structure and different kind of theory behind what makes a good song. And so taking what I've learned and kind of taught myself and figured out, and now kind of becoming more of a scholar of what songwriting is, the students really soak it all up, and they have their own processes and talents and imaginations and stuff. So it's a really exciting environment to be able to see these songs develop and see them find their own processes.
Wow. And we're here on campus. It's out of a storybook. It feels just magical. What's your favorite part of campus? Do you have a favorite spot?
Yeah, right over that way there's a dining kind of area right on the water where you can get your lunch from the cafeteria and take it down there, and usually a few of the other teachers are eating their lunch there. And I know winter will be here before we know it, but for now it's just these golden fall days where we can go to the salad bar and eat our salads on the water and talk about life and teaching.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
When you have moments where you hit maybe a rut or create a writer's block, how do you move beyond that?
That's something we talk about here a lot because it happens to me a lot. And I'm
Okay,
sure,
good to know.
as you know, as a creative person, you're not always at the top of your game, firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have some tricks to jog that. So I've got like exercises I do. I've got in general I try to just like fill up the well. And like if I have writer's block, usually I feel like I either have something to say that I don't know how to say or don't want to say, and so I try to figure out what that is by like bouncing a ball or going for a walk, or sometimes I'll watch a movie, or I'll go to a museum, or I'll
Just try to shake it up in your
shake
up
it
your
up,
brain.
put in something. Like the things that inspired me as a younger writer still get me, you know, like if I listen to the Beatles or I listen to Nirvana or I go see a work of art or a play, like something always gets triggered. And so it's just about not like sitting around and being like, oh, like this is so hard, I don't have any ideas. You kind of have to force it. And so I try to teach the students and try to remind myself that like it takes work. The inspiration takes work to access.
Such good advice. Why do you believe Northern Michigan is such a great place to create?
It's just so. First of all, I guess I don't know. It's magical. There's just a magic that I can't explain or describe. I mean, we were both living in LA and felt this pull back to Michigan. It just has a gravitational force. It's like a vortex of magic. And more than like in more like tangible terms, it's just so beautiful. The trees, the rivers, the lakes, the sunsets. It's just like magic.
How does the area influence your art?
I think the people, I've been drawing more inspiration from the people, like friends, acquaintances, the random like guy who knows how to tie flies or has some other like random skill that like he has time to work on here and space, because it's not New York City where there's like a million sounds coming at you. You have time to let your mind kind of wander and get curious about something and explore that curiosity.
I'm glad you touched on the people, because I wanted to talk about the community here and how would you describe the community up here? And if you could speak on that.
The community in Interlochen specifically, or
Traverse City, and just how you've always been part of the community, and just whether it is the creative community or music.
Yeah, I would say in a word, inclusive. It's an inclusive place. I don't think there's like a weird hierarchy or judgment. It's very much like a yes and kind of thing, where it's like, what's going on? How can we contribute? How can we use, like, that guy's a great fiddle player, let's loop him in. Like, what can we do? How can we make this all better and better and better? And artistically, I find that to be true. I think socially, I find that to be true. Like, if there's like a bonfire to be had, then like who's bringing the hot dogs or whatever? Like, it's like the more the merrier. And because it's a place that can get very lonely and very cold. And so I think we realize the importance of community here in a way that maybe some other cities don't.
Yes.
Or states don't.
So well said. What advice can you give students here that maybe you had to learn the hard way, for someone who wants a career in the music industry, so maybe that they don't have to experience it themselves?
I'd say to be patient and to be really kind. And I think there's a tendency towards maybe a bit of ego and a bit of like, I'm good, why isn't this happening for me right now? Come on. And fortunately I haven't really seen that here, but I've definitely been that person that's like, oh, come on, I've been touring for 15 years, what's going on here? It's just like, to be patient and to be like, you never know when somebody you like maybe step on their toes a little bit is gonna come back around. And so just like, I'm still learning this every day, to like be kinder and more patient and more gracious. And the more we can like remember to have a little empathy, the better career is going to be, but the better life is going to be.
I love that. There's this mindset that you have to go to New York or you have to go to LA to make it. Is that still the case? What is the music scene like here? And you also score films and television and do commercial work. Are you able to do that work here?
I am, yeah. I mean, one of the weird, maybe you can't call it a benefit of COVID, but like one of the weird things that happened with COVID was the world kind of became a little more connected in that way. And so a year ago I would have said, yeah, you should probably go to LA or New York if you want to really make it. And now I don't think that's the case. I think if you're a part of your community and you're doing something that you believe in and that people kind of can gravitate towards, the rest of the world will find out. And even if it's like an Instagram post that goes viral or whatever it might be, like we're connected in ways that we weren't maybe a couple years ago.
So true. I have to ask, was fame what you thought it would be, and what was and is your relationship to fame? You work so hard to achieve these goals, and then you're recognized on an international level. Was that a trip? Like, what was that? What is it like?
Yeah, it was really weird, and it blew by so quickly that it was kind of like, what was that? We had somebody, the head of our record label said, like, take a lot of pictures and try to like remember as much of this as you can, because it doesn't last forever. For somebody like Beyonce, it does last for, like she's her days of fame are not behind her. But for me, like, yeah, it blew by pretty quickly, and it forever altered a lot of relationships, both like with friends and romance and family, and it changed my brain around a little bit and changed my artistic process and hurt it in some ways, I would say, where when I would try to write songs, it would be like, well, if this isn't like a global sensation, then what's the point? And now I'm like, do I like it? Is it good? Does it fill my heart? I'm trying to reconnect to those questions again, rather than like, is this going to tear up the charts or whatever? So yeah, it's weird. It gets in the way of the process, but also like, I'm sure grateful for that moment in life.
I'm sure your students here, that's also valuable advice.
I think so, because I think a lot of them are probably going to be pretty famous. There's some really, really good ones.
Yeah,
They're
totally.
so talented.
When you do something so intensely as touring for almost a decade, how does that affect your mental health? And even as a transition, as you work on other projects, how did that play a role mentally? And what was that transition like?
I didn't know what to do. I got home. I was like, well, I have nothing on the calendar today. What does that mean? I have nothing on the calendar this month and next month. And it really did a number on my mental health. I felt very like low and kind of worthless, and like my life had no real point or meaning. And I had to kind of rebuild my identity in a way. And then it was like, okay, like I can plant some flowers. I can take my dog for a walk. I can work on other music. I can, and then the jobs kind of started coming back. And I don't like to define myself by my work, but like it does help to be like, okay, I've got a film I can do. I have commercials. I have TV shows. I've got songs I like. I'm having bonfires with friends. I'm doing this and that. And like life kind of rebuilt eventually, but it took a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of mental interior work.
Sure. So speaking of planting flowers, you planted a lot of seeds, not necessarily in the ground, but metaphorically, you planted a lot of seeds, and it seems like everything's flourishing now. So in addition to what you're doing here at Interlochen, what other projects and scoring work are you working on? Can you share it?
Yeah. I just finished this film that my friend Michael Collins directed about this. About a lot of things, but about Beirut in general. And then now I'm scoring this film about it's kind of a half documentary, half scripted short film about a barber in Toledo that my friend Matt connected me to, and the wonderful Monty Cole is directing, and I'm really excited about that. And just finished a TV show called Lies on Demand that I do, and so yeah, I've been busy trying to prep for the school year and like finish up all these other projects and make a bossa nova record that I've been working on for like a year now that has taken a back seat because of all this other stuff. But I want to finish the bossa nova too.
How is this role here challenging you and pushing you in new ways, like creative wise? Are you working a different muscle, or is it all just coming naturally?
Yeah, it's both, I would say. Like it's starting to flow more naturally, but yeah, it's a different muscle. I know how I write a song, but how do I communicate that? How do I communicate when a student shows me a song, what I like about it and what I think could be improved? And it forces me to really get more analytical and try to communicate better about like, I don't like that, but like, why? How can we improve it? Do you like it? What do you like about it? It's very much like this weird and beautiful game of like analysis instead of just kind of like musical vomiting or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and it makes me think more about what I'm doing in every way. Like when I'm writing a song, I'm like, I just told somebody not to do this, and I'm doing it. So, or like I'm giving up on this song, and I insist that they can't give up on songs. So it makes me have a little more diligence and determination, and to kind of take my own advice in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you got to, I guess, practice what you preach, which
Yeah.
is very hard to do in life sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because they have like this like 16-year-old amazing energy, and I'm like pushing 40, and I'm like, but I'm tired, and I did this already. And it's like, yeah, but like I still want to do this.
Yeah.
I have to do it. It takes work, no
Sure.
matter what age you are, and however many times you've done it, you start fresh every day.
Wow. So I don't want to totally get into the details here, but I want to touch on, some would say that Fun, you guys went your separate ways at the height of your success, perhaps maybe even cut short by egos. You brought up egos. Is the essence of that right, or is the media just way off?
I don't know. I mean, anytime I talk about this, we could talk for hours and hours about Fun. I think we just ran our course.
Yeah.
And I think like our egos didn't really change. We were all the same people at the end as we were at the beginning. Like it
Okay.
really, like, we all had our kind of vision of what the band would be, and maybe that was different in some cases, but like I think we're all quite happy with where we've all ended up.
Sure.
And I think the band is just, I don't know.
Well,
what
how
we
about
would have
this? How
done.
how about this question for the Fun fans? Is
Okay.
there a day where we see you and Nate Roos and Jack Actodoff on stage again, not necessarily together again as a band, but performing?
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
I would never rule that out. I
Okay,
think,
cool.
you know, we all love each other very much, and that kind of thing. You know, we're brothers, and
Yeah.
and that doesn't go away,
Right.
even though our career paths differ.
Sure.
But no, I think the band did what it did, and I don't know that there was much to do after that.
Sure.
Like looking back, I'm kind of like, well, what would the third record have been? I don't
Uh-huh.
even know. Like, what would the Beatles have done in 1972? Like, it's not really questions you can answer. Like, you
Yeah.
can't. Paul McCartney said you can't reheat a souffle. And I think about that, like, it's like, what? Well, yeah, you can't put the eggs in the microwave or whatever. Like, it's
Right.
not gonna be as good. So I'm happy with. Ultimately, I'm happy with where we left things.
That's, yeah. From that whole life experience, what was one of the highest highs? Whether it was a particular venue you performed at, a collaboration, someone you met. Like, is there one that just, if you could choose one, I'm sure there's many.
Yeah, a friend of mine just went to a concert at Red Rocks, and some of my friends have like played there since. And I would say that Red Rocks concert, when you said that just now, it jumped to mind to be like, that was cool. My parents came out for it and got to like, they gave us like a piece of the rock, you know, because,
Oh.
you know, as like a thank you or whatever. It was just, that was a special one.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was neat.
I love that you and Jack are on the founding board of the Ally Coalition, fighting for equal rights for LGBTQ youth. Can you tell me about that important work that you guys do there?
Yeah, well, as soon as Fun started to kind of get more successful, we were thinking like, what do we do with this? Like, we don't want to just kind of coast and enjoy this like rock star lifestyle. Like, we should probably, if people are listening to what we have to say, we should probably be saying something important. And that's an issue that's really, I thought it was going to kind of go away in terms of like equal rights, marriage equality, whatever. And it's kind of like weirdly getting more and more conservative and weird again. So it feels kind of vital again to be like donating and doing stuff. But anyway, yeah, like it's very, human rights across the board are very important to us, for sure.
Well, thank you for the hard work and everything that you guys are doing there.
Thanks. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because we're all straight people, and I never want to feel like we're like heterosexual white saviors stepping in to be like, oh, let us take care of this for you as big, strong white people that are straight and don't deal, you know. I never want that to be the case. And so it's kind of a balance of like, how can we contribute without centering the conversation around ourselves and making us look like the stars of the show, or like we're so wonderful or something. So I think it's important to be allies, but I think we try to just let people tell us what they need and try to support them where they need to be met.
Good stuff, Andrew. We're going to do a quick fire round
Okay.
before we wrap up the interview. So I thought of some fun Northern Michigan questions.
Great.
Just one or two sentences or one word. What is your favorite month in Michigan?
I think we're in it. I think September, the transition between September and October, this is it. This is
it.
magic. Yeah.
Sunrise or sunset?
Set.
Wow.
I haven't seen a sunrise in a while. I get up early for work now, but I still am barely beating the sun. Yeah.
How do you describe northern Michigan to someone who has never been here?
I would say it's more magical than you would probably imagine. I think people, like, when people see Lake Michigan, they don't they're like, it's like the ocean. And it's like, yeah, it is like the ocean. It's big and beautiful and sandy, and that, I guess I could keep going on that, but I should probably cut myself off.
Northern Michigan's best kept secret.
I would say buds. Buds in Interlochen.
Awesome, and I'm so pleased I got to experience it this morning.
It's really good. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I would say, and also Hexenbell. Have you been to Hexenbell?
I have.
It's incredible.
You turned me on to the whoopie
yeah,
pies.
yes, they're so good.
Mm-hmm. You're full. You know it all. What's your favorite item from the farmer's market?
Oh, I mean, heirloom tomatoes in general. Also, to get a big bunch of flowers that's like peonies and dahlias and stuff. Like, I guess those aren't at the same season, but flowers.
Favorite restaurant?
Hexenbell.
Okay. And best outdoor activity?
I hike a lot. I just hiked yesterday and I saw a turtle. And my dog was like looking at it, sniffing, kind of confused. I think you always see something special if you're on a hike.
Totally. And if you could have a drink with anyone, who would it be?
My classic answer to this kind of question is the Red Hot Chili Peppers dead. But I'll be more sincere. This is a more sincere show. Plus, I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers and I'm not trying to be cheeky. I would love to talk. You know, there's one of my many mentors here at Interlochen is Dr. Tom Childs. He's a composer, educator, wonderful dude. I feel like I never get enough time with Tom. I'm gonna say Tom Childs.
Excellent.
Dr. Childs.
Excellent and very fitting question. I'm glad to end the interview on that note. Andrew, thank you so much for doing this and sharing a piece of your story. And Northern Michigan is lucky to have you. So cheers to this next chapter.
Cheers.